And this is hard to do. And if you have suffered, and most of you have, in your own ways, the challenge is to ask the question, and there is no, well, there are a few, but there are a few questions more difficult than this one. Very few questions. Lord, what is the gift? What is the gift in the middle of this suffering? Why have you sent this? And I don't mean why as in why me. I mean why as in to what ends? To what purpose? Because it is always there. There is always a gem. There is always a kernel of truth, of transformation within our suffering, waiting. Question is, do you seize it or do you not seize it? It's there. It's constantly there. That hole that you have inside of you, whatever the suffering is, loss of a friend, loss of a mate, loss of a dream, death, whatever it might be, within it is the seed of your new life. But guess what we do? What do we always do? We hold on to that which was. Why? Because it's secure. Abraham Maslow said what? In his hierarchy of human needs, he says the core need of all humanity, the first need of all humanity is what? And at the core, you've got food, water, and shelter are up here. But at the very core, security. Security. And we would much rather hold on to something that is secure and known, even if it's toxic, than to let go and open up to whatever new life is being birthed. And why do we do that? Because the notion of letting go of that which is safe and not knowing what's ahead is scary. It's terrifying. Now, if I knew what I was jumping to, it'd be easier to let go, right? I can jump off this ship if I see the other ship right there and I just got to swim over. But the notion of letting go of this and trusting that God actually knows what He's doing. Trusting that God actually has a plan. But it's so hard, isn't it? It's that independence again. I got it. I got to be in control. I have to know what's ahead. And some measure of that isn't necessarily a bad thing. This isn't a call to utter foolishness. That's not what I'm saying. It's a call to trust. And God speaks, as we've talked about before. God speaks through that calling, through that energy. However God speaks to you, God speaks. But sometimes we don't hear until it gets so toxic that we have no choice but to walk away. And it can be anything. It can be anything. But we all go through it at some point in our life. Sometimes more than once. And God calls us to new life. But we want to stay as an acorn because I know what an acorn is. Do you think an acorn knows that it's going to become an oak? Yes, I'm aware of the fact that acorns don't have consciousness. Yes, I'm aware of that. Play alone. Acorn doesn't know it's going to become an oak. And the truth is this, simply this, folks. Within you is an oak tree. Or maybe it's an apple tree. If you were a tree, what sort of tree would you be? But it's in there. Maybe you haven't been cracked open. Maybe you have been cracked open. Maybe the new life is shooting forth. Maybe the root is just beginning to go down. Maybe you've got deep roots already, and maybe your branches are reaching for the sun already. But you are at some phase in that growth cycle. Now, you may not have died yet. Again, you may be shooting roots. You may be a sapling. You may be big. But the point is, invariably, this is a truth of Scripture. This is a truth of life. Creation is invariably, without exception, preceded by destruction. Things must die for things to live. It is the way God created life. I defy you to prove me wrong. I defy you to prove Scripture wrong. I defy you to prove life wrong. To find one instance of new life without death. Death of something. And so it's simply this. To take this with you this week. You are part of that life cycle that God's created. God is forever trying to crack your egg. God is forever breaking you apart so that He can come in. So that your life can be more abundant than you ever imagined. And I know that's a nice religious cliche, but it's a fact. You have no idea. You have no idea the joy, the promise, the love, the hope, the sense of purpose. What would that feel like again if you've lost that? To have that sense of purpose. To have that drive. To know where your life is going. feel like to know that you're loved? If you're feeling unloved right now, what would it feel like to have lasting peace? That no matter what the waters, the surface waters of life were like, that deep in you, there's a sense of peace. And no matter how hard life gets, deep in you, there's a sense of joy with life. It's possible. Believe it or not, God wants that for you. God is trying to break into your life. And the question is, are you ready to be broken open? Are you ready to let go of what was? Are you ready to embrace and move towards, even though you don't know what the end is, even though you don't know what type of tree God is turning you into, so to speak? Are you ready to let go of that, of you, of my independence, to move towards what God has planned for you? That's it, folks. That's the essence of Scripture right there. And what it takes, the one thing running through that entire death and rebirth process, the one thread, is what it always is. We use the word faith for the word trust. Can you trust that God knows what He's doing? Can you trust that God has a plan for your life? Can you trust that God wants so much more for you than you can possibly imagine? Can you trust that Jesus meant it when He said, I've come that you may have life and have it abundantly? Not just good, not just so-so, not just I'm going to endure it, but abundant life. And the essence is fides. Faith, also trust. There's a trust, fiduciary relationship. God has left a trust for you that you're going to get when you're 25, right? If a parent dies and leaves you a trust, it's that sort of trust as well. It's there, waiting to be claimed. You must trust that God has a plan. Dear friends, if you are not on your knees, metaphorically speaking, or physically, literally speaking, if you are not on your knees begging God to change your life, if you are not begging to be an oak, if you are not begging for abundant life, if you are not yet coming alive, if you are not going after God like a deer pants for water, you're still back here. You're living a half existence. Am I saying this to put you down? No, I'm saying it's simply true. There is so much more waiting.